Greetings, webheads, and welcome to episode 10 of Witty Banter, yet another Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Alex.
This is John Paul.
David.
I'm really disappointed that you just
I know. When you did the intro, I'm like, damn it! I didn't think of it.
That's what we call you.
I am Sparta.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Anywho, we are here to help you get better at and have more fun with your Crisis Protocol. Little business to take care of before we get into the meat of the program today. First of all, we have a new patron, Billy Nichols. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon, for becoming part of the neighborhood. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep the lights on, keep doing what we're doing. You will be getting an entry, as well as all the other patrons and those who give us a review, to our next giveaway, which will be, what are we giving away, Alex?
Your choice of the next release being Namor and Panther 3. Unfortunately, not Papa Panther, but I digress. And or you can choose Silver Sable or Shang-Chi.
I want to say that there's an easy choice with Shang-Chi, but the Namor thing is pretty cool too. So anywho, that's a good choice. So we will be giving those away in episode 12. So that's 4 weeks from now. So you got plenty of time. Slim Shady, how do you get an entry?
You can leave a review.
Yep.
Or you can be a Itsy Bitsy Spider.
That's one entry.
Or what's our other one?
Spider Friend.
Spider Friend.
Spider Friend gets you two.
I was thinking Webhead. Spider Friend, yes.
Everybody's a webhead. Itsy Bitsy Spider gets you one. Spider Friend gets you two. Review gets you one. So you can get 3 freaking entries to this thing. I mean, how nice can we be? So we would love you to join our Patreon, to come be part of the community. We would also we haven't pushed this for a little while, we'd love to see some of your rosters so we can help dojo them and help you get better. One of the things, we say it at the top of every episode, we're here to help you get better at your Crisis Protocol. If you've got a roster that you're fiddling with or you're not sure about, send it in to us and we'll go over it with you. We'll give you some suggestions on where you might want to make tweaks with your Crisis, with your tactics, maybe with some of your splashes, but we can help you get better. That's what we're here for. So we'd really like that opportunity. So please send us your rosters that you'd like to look at. You can reach us on all the socials at Witty Bantercast or at wittybantercast@gmail.com. All right, business over. Gentlemen, you guys were at squad goals. How'd it go?
We were the best 3-2 team. I mean,
yeah,
we got 6th place out of 22 teams, so we fared fairly well. I think.
As a
Our strength of schedule was nuts. Look at our strength schedule; it's crazy. It's crazy.
we did play a lot of good teams.
As a Nebraska fan, I can totally relate to being the best 3-9 team in the country.
Yeah.
So, what rosters did you guys take?
I brought X-Force. Pretty generic X-Force. Cable, Psylocke, Domino, Deadpool, X-23. And then I took Zemo, Hela, Pyro, Bullseye, and Logan.
Did you play Hell of any of your games?
I could have played with 5 models that entire tournament because I didn't look at half of my roster.
So you did play with Hell.
I did not play with
You
Hela.
could have dropped Hell.
I could have dropped Hela and Eyes on the prize and not cared whatsoever.
What'd you bring, David?
I brought Shield with Thanos.
Of course you did.
Yeah, that was the thing. All the Shield people. Yeah, Thanos. Space. Reality.
JP, what'd you bring?
I brought an all-comers Avengers list, and we all ran
We all ran
Researcher. Yeah. That was kind of the plan going in. We figured there'd be a lot of scenario teams because scenario teams are the best right now. Figured there'd be at least 2 per team. That didn't turn out to be, in fact, the case. There were a decent amount of teams with 2, but a lot with just like 1.
Yeah.
None
There
of
were a
them.
lot more efficient teams than I thought.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, I want to talk more about the roster that you had, but I would like to get more into kind of what you learned about it. So you didn't get what you expected in terms of what other people were bringing.
Not quite. Not
What were
quite.
you expecting?
We were just expecting people to bring all the good stuff.
I was expecting more Hellfire and
There was one Hellfire at the whole tournament.
Out of 66
Out of 60-something players, there was one Hellfire player.
and it
It was
was
fucking insane.
he's
It was
like
Curtis Osborne.
he's like the best Hellfire player.
He's a top-ranked Hellfire player. Like, he plays exclusively Hellfire.
So,
Nobody else brought it.
You know,
Not a single person.
so what got brought instead of what you were expecting?
Just about everything.
there was a lot
else.
more Cabal.
Oh, yeah.
Three Thanos than I thought there would be.
There were a lot.
There was quite a bit more because DeLuca was running Red Skull Thanos, Keldon was running Red Skull Thanos. There was a couple more.
I don't know.
There was a couple other ones.
Those are the only ones I can think of.
Well, let's walk through. Let's kind of walk through your tournament, how things went. Maybe we can kind of talk about it from there. So, give a brief overview for listeners who might not be familiar. What is Squad Goals? How did it work? How was it set up?
You want to do it?
Squad Goals, it was a team tournament, teams of 3. And it's a little different. It was a little different from at least normal team tournaments that we played and I've tried hosting. You couldn't repeat characters, which is pretty normal for most team tournaments. But that was the only thing you couldn't repeat. You could repeat Crisis and Tactics cards. So it was not a Highlander style. And that was really strange to us.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that in the last episode, where the character selection was different, but otherwise it sort of felt like you were just playing some connected singles games.
Basically.
And we thought people would abuse that a lot more.
Yeah, it did not happen.
So
we kind of outmetted the meta and ended up. I don't think we ended up with bad lists, but I think we were trying a little too hard to engineer.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think we were too focused on what the score teams were doing. And
I think we should have just done what we were metaing against. I think we should have just brought like Webs, Wakanda, and freaking Hellfire and said deal with it.
Yeah.
Agreed. And then David had a wet dream about Thanos.
Yeah, the Thanos Shield thing was cool, but it wasn't as good as it.
well, yeah,
my games where I just played Shield were actually much better than when I played Thanos.
Thanos' Shield Mobile had the fucking Infinity Gem, the spinner rims. Though.
Yeah.
He was all blinged out with his rolling down the street.
my Nightcrawler mass transit list can very much sympathize with being way too connected to trying to get cute.
I just wanted to punch people with Thanos.
So
turns out people don't like that.
so let's just kind of walk through real briefly what you guys encountered. So how long was the tournament? How many rounds was it? How did that go?
It was 5 rounds. It was a 2-day tournament. Saturday, day 1 was 3 rounds. Sunday was 2 rounds.
Okay. So round 1, what did you guys end up going up against?
We drove 7.5 hours to play people that we played.
Yeah, we played Aaron Franklin.
We walked into the room and we immediately went over to the infamous table and we were just talking shit, whatever, just hanging out. And then pairings go up and we're like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, and it was a huge kick in my teeth because I made the joke like, oh, we're going to play each other round 1. And 7 seconds later, we played each other round 1.
We brought Michael with us, and Michael was on their team, so we ended up having to play Michael too.
Yeah.
Also, do you want to say they were not bad games? We still had fun.
Yeah. Oh, they were great.
But
games.
it just is a huge kick in the pants driving 7.5 hours and playing somebody that we play fairly often.
Well, before I lose track of it, what was the venue like?
Hot, fucking sweaty.
It was
hot.
An oven or an armpit or a ninth ring of hell.
Oh, and it was
a little warm, is what you're saying.
It was in an old, basically abandoned mall that nobody cared about anymore. Like most of the shops were gone.
If you're local, it was like Oakview.
Yeah. It was
Evidently,
real sad.
A previous century's air conditioner blew up on the roof or some shit, and they couldn't drop one on the roof with a helicopter or something, or get a repair guy over there. So we were just all subjected to baking.
But the fans were in the back when they should have been probably out front blowing the air.
Fans. You talk like they were fans.
There
were literally enough fans to make an S on the end of fan. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not like there were a fucking fleet of fans.
No.
I
It
think
was
they were a total
two
of
fans.
No, yeah, there was.
I think there were a total of 6.
There were-
but they were
I
not.
saw 2.
There were 2 up front, 2 in the back by the.
I
main
know there were
counter.
2 back by where they did the stream games at.
And there was always an asshat standing in front of them.
Yes,
I-
yes.
think I remember hearing that the air conditioning of the mall went out like the day before the event.
Something like that.
Well, and the outside was like what, like 15 degrees cooler than
Cool.
the inside.
Yeah,
You walk
somehow-
outside and it's like, what the fuck are they doing out here?
Man, that sounds like it has real George Romero vibes to it.
It was hot.
It was hot.
Okay.
Shout out to the MCP guys, though. Everybody who plays MCP that showed up. They wore deodorant. Good job.
And you
Oh, yes,
actually
very
showered
true.
and
They showered. We stayed hygienic, and we
when
survived.
the table proximity wasn't, I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. Like we weren't exactly like fucking.
We were only elbow to elbow,
weren't-
not
yeah, we weren't-
asses to elbow.
Yeah, we weren't elbows to assholes.
Yeah.
For sure.
At the end of the pod, we're going to be talking about some etiquette issues, but I don't think it's a spoiler alert to say that one of the etiquette issues is shower, use appropriate deodorant, have some consideration for the other folks that you're going to be chilling with.
Don't just spray water on yourself. Use fucking soap, like a normal human being.
So you had your list. What did you end up facing off against in round 1?
So round 1, we placed JP, and he ended up going against
Quinn.
Web Warriors. Quentin.
So there's gonna be a pattern here, and it's a pattern of fucking disrespect for Avengers.
We kind of teched my list to deal with Web Warriors, and one thing I learned from this is do not take David's advice ever again.
Listen, that's my fault. I'll own that.
Because this man was just like, oh, we'll throw JP out there every time. And every time the opponent was like,
Well,
oh,
there was that
let's
one
put
round
Web
where
Warriors into him. That'll be
you
great.
had to take a shit, and I was like trying to debate, and then you were gone. I was like, fuck,
Well,
what do we do here?
I mean, in defense, like that was kind of the plan. I had an all-comers list. We'd throw me out there, and I'd just get stacked with what they thought was the best team against me. But it was so much fucking disrespect. Triple Web Warriors and then Kingpin the next day. It was like, do you not, like, you'd rather play me like a coin flip game? I don't know, maybe. It seems like you would want to put someone who's like, maybe they thought they were favored into me. And they probably might have been slightly, but with Researcher, like, that can get weird.
Yeah, I could think
The
about
fact
it.
that we ran all Researcher, though, probably made them divert
Possible.
their scory team into me because
Well, they might have also thought, because you were in
they-
Scoundrels, right?
they figured they would be less punished by me if we landed on Researcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also running Scoundrels.
Okay, so let's break down. What did you each end up facing off against in round 1?
So JP had Web Warriors. David, you ended up playing against Wakanda.
My
And I played against Aaron's Guardians.
And how did those games go?
So I lost my game, only because I got tabled. Aaron's a smart player.
Only.
I like Aaron a lot.
Aaron's a smart player, and he could have easily beat me by points, but I made it a game for him. I technically did win by points in that game, though. So I'm taking that as a moral victory. It did not help that I played a threat down. I forgot basic math that weekend, apparently. I'm going to chalk it up to the 112-degree sauna we were playing in, though.
You're in a mall. You didn't have cheese fries. What do you expect?
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. They didn't even offer cheese fries at
What
that
the
time.
hell?
This food court was pretty sad, too.
Jubilee would be very upset about this.
Yeah, she was very
But yeah, I played 14 straight and a 15 straight game. It was, I hate myself.
And JP, you got
I got Quentin, the Adepticon winner of this year,
Oh,
playing his standard web list, and he drew, unfortunately, my Researcher. And it was a hell of a game. I picked 20 because we landed on Scoundrels. My 15 was 3 models wide, and I just wasn't sure how that goes on Scoundrels. I thought maybe, I don't know, I think about it still. Maybe I should have gone 15. Make it a shorter game, make more attrition more impactful sooner. But it is what it is. I ended up, like, I was I had 2 on score. All he had left was Hulk. I had Hulk, Bill, and both caps, and I was down to like 2 seconds on the clock.
Yeah. Shout out to
Um,
Quentin on that one, man. He was a good dude about it.
So I was like throwing his Hulk back away from the researcher, like with Bill and Hulk, and I guess I just wasn't really thinking about it too much. Well, I was thinking like the optimal move, but I should have just like passed with a couple characters because I didn't really need to score because I was already had 2. Anyway, I did all the optimal moves, and as I'm finishing my last move, I go to punch the clock, and like as I'm coming down on the button, it goes off, and I'm like, "Fuck!"
Oh,
Yeah.
that's super awesome.
Yeah, but Quentin gave me the win. We advanced round 2, 1-0, and promptly lost.
What did you? So what did you have in?
So I played Michael, and Michael, in his addiction to Killmonger and Usurp, I don't know why he every time he plays a card, he never gets it off. I never let him kill what he's trying to kill.
For listeners, Michael's one of our locals that we ended up playing on a different team.
Yes. So he brought Killmonger and Usurp, and he had OG Panther, and he brought Hela.
He loves him his Hela.
Yeah, he does like Hela. He like tried to get over to usurp Thanos, but I'm like, I got Shield, I got Eye in the Sky. This is not gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna get over here. And I did the thing with Thanos, and I eyes on the prize and took 2 hammers. So Thanos was like killing with 2 hammers the whole game, and just punching the fuck out of M'Baku.
That's just freaking rude, man.
Yeah, it was so rude.
So you guys went 2-1 in round 1.
Yes,
Mhm.
2-1 round.
All right. So what did round 2 look like?
I got put down again.
We caught Conan's team.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was that a conscious decision that you guys made based on the matchups you were seeing, or did you kind of know you wanted to do that going in?
I mean, I just built an all-comers list. So
Well,
I thought I could take everybody. The problem ended up being that I kept getting scenario teams. So if I knew that, I would have changed the list.
What would you have done differently?
I would have taken some of the fighty out of it. Because I didn't run any 2 threats.
Oh, okay.
So if I had to do it again, and I knew I was going up against a bunch of scenario, I probably would have. Well, David was running 2 widow. I would have liked to have like 2 widow and a toad.
yeah.
Like add 2 twos.
Did
just to
anybody
go
else-
just to go wide.
Did anybody else have Toad?
No, nobody
No.
knows our Toad.
Okay.
Yeah, we could have. You could have definitely taken Toad.
Okay, so
I got put down at the stream table.
Yeah, because that was the other discussion when we came up to because we were on the stream table. So we were like, who wants to be on the stream table? Because
I mean, the stream table doesn't bother me. I could care less about getting streamed. Like it doesn't affect my play, but it sucks losing on stream.
yeah, it does.
Okay, so you ended up going up against
Web Warriors.
so that's 2 straight Web Warriors matchups.
Oh,
you had.
and I was losing Cryo every game. So he picked his blues. We ended up on my hammers, his riots, and I can't remember what the points were. I can pull up my notes, but man, my first game with Quentin was so freaking good, but so exhausting, and it was so hot in there. Like I was done. I was like cooked for the day.
So how
After round 1, I'm just like
so
I got
was,
to the table. I'm like sweat was just like running down my brow, and I'm like sitting there. I'm like, this is miserable.
so there was the plan was for 3 games in one day and then 2 the next.
Yeah.
So you really were. I mean, there was an element. It was just a physical endurance based on the conditions. Yeah.
It was. I was feeling like kind of sick. It was weird.
Okay.
And I run kind of cold,
Mhm.
so that was weird for me. Like looking around and seeing people just comfortable was like alarming. Like you're not.
I run hot. I hated it. Yeah, it was not good.
So JP got webs. What did you guys end up pulling?
I got Guardians again, but there was no Thanos in that one, so I felt a little better about it. I did end up winning that
Was
one.
that the Guardians roster that didn't have Bill?
Correct? Yeah, there was no.
Yeah,
Bill
I
in
saw
that
that and I was like,
What did
Guardians without Beta Ray
What-
Bill.
what did they have?
He had Cosmic Ghost Rider
Oh.
and Angela. Those are the big twists, in my opinion.
Interesting.
I don't really see Angela and Guardians lists anymore, and
I don't really see Angela in any lists.
that's fair.
Angela's interesting.
I
And
miss her.
She's on, like, I don't know. We
I-
can talk about Angela
Yeah.
sometime down
I
the road.
wasn't expecting Cosmic Ghost Rider to really show up too much anymore.
Yeah. So what was post nerf Cosmic Ghost Rider like seeing?
He didn't make the table.
Oh, okay.
Right? He was just in the roster, but I was just shocked that there was no Bill in it.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember if Bill was in the other rosters like that you played against?
I don't.
Okay.
I thought you definitely played against the Bill.
Not round 2.
Not round
Not
two.
but like I don't think any of the other rosters have
It
Bill.
was
I played
strange
against-
not seeing Bill in a Guardians list.
Yeah. What'd you get, David?
And I got Conan, and he had Red Skull 3 with Thanos. Space Mind. And we ended up on 15, which was like Researcher Gamma.
Mm.
And then he played the Red Skull 3 Thanos Zemo.
Mm.
And then I debated about this like when it was 15, and I was thinking, do I play Tony's leadership here or do I play Fury's leadership here? And I was like, man, I kind of value and I really wanted the Grunts on Researcher, so I was like, I'll just play them.
Mm.
And I should have played Tony because it ended up being awkward about not having anybody on my back point later in the
Mhm.
game.
Yeah. Range 4 shooting from a back point is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Especially since it was Researcher.
So how did your games go for round 2?
Mine was actually really close. We ended up. I lost 14-17, but there was one play in particular that kind of haunts me. Well, let me rewind. I was so miserable and out of it that I picked an unaffiliated team,
Oh, wow.
and like we revealed, and I looked at him. Tom. His name was Tom. He's a super good sport. I'm like, dude, I picked an unaffiliated team. Like, how do you want to handle this? And he's like, go ahead and just swap. So shout out to Tom. So I swapped out Miles for Luke. I didn't want to because we were in a D. I'd rather have Miles, but then I'd be unaffiliated. So I had one play where I charged Sam close enough to be able to ricochet into Cat if I hit the wild on ASM, and it was on a mark for death turn. And the worst fucking thing happened. I did 1 damage to Cat, which gave her enough power to move and steal. And that would have gotten me not only the 1 point for having the hammer and -1 point for him not getting it, but I wouldn't have been as close, and I Avengers assembled that turn too and moved Sam toward my back D. But if I had maximized the distance to be 4, not tried to get in there to be within 3 of Cat, I would have been able to Avengers assemble back onto my point as well to score another point.
So realistically, that
lost
was a 3-point swing.
Yeah. And then the last round, I threw Logan into my grunts, my Ultron grunts, and blocked 1. And for some reason, my brain calculated that as taking 2 damage when it should have been 3.
Yeah, because
And Logan was holding a hammer, so Ultron could have picked it up. So those 2 mistakes essentially lost me the game because the score is very close. But yeah, my clock management was not great. I ended with 1 second left on the clock, and
This entire weekend, I'm sitting over here like, these two fuckers do not know how to push a goddamn panel for a clock.
and yet Alex is playing a point down in half his games.
At least I know how to fucking hit a panel. Shit.
I was hitting the paddle. I was just thinking a lot. I didn't think I'd have to think so much. I kept getting Webb's games.
As bad as I am at chess clocks, I can feel your pain. How did your game go, David?
So I played Fury, Thanos, Taskmaster, which Taskmaster is better than I give him credit for. He was pretty good that game.
Well, it's all the blood you put on his shield.
Yeah, it's all the blood on his shield. But I did the thing. I shield mobiled Thanos right into his Red Skull's face and double punched him, left him on 1. Which if I would have dazed him, that would have been fantastic. But I also goofed because I looked at his. Was that the game I goofed? No, that was a different game I goofed. But it was weird because I had prio, So he just would activate his space mine Thanos and just move my Thanos away. And so I couldn't score the researcher. So then I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna give up on this plan and I'm just gonna fight. And
So you went right to attrition.
yeah, I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna fight. And
Screw it, we're going murder.
man, I mean, I ended up punking I dazed his Red Skull on round 2, and on round 3 I had Prio, and I went into because he dazed my Fury, and he dazed Thanos.
Ooh,
Yeah, Zemo went off. Zemo went off like a
wow.
Zemo went
That's
Zemo went on a murder train.
Yeah.
And then he also he had enough power to Cosmico Blit, and I think he got my Taskmaster too. There was a round where he dazed my whole team, and I'm just like, ugh, this ain't good. So then I ended up with Prio, and I'm like, okay, I need to KO Red Skull right now. And so I put Fury's attacks, I double spendered, and I shot 4 times with grunts, and I Fury spendered with a Death Decree, and I could not. I left Red Skull on 1 again.
That's twice in the game you left him on 1.
On 1.
Man, that's a JP
He
move.
proceeded to Cosmico Blit, and he killed my Fury and Taskmaster.
Ouch.
So I had Thanos left. So then I punked his Zemo, and so we ended up going to round 4, and it was Thanos on Thanos.
Nice.
Yeah, but I couldn't push enough damage through the Thanos to flip him, or no, I think he was already flipped. I couldn't push enough damage to like KO and win, and then he ended up just pushing me off. Or well, he ended up KOing me actually, because he ended up just like pumping a bunch of dice, and then I ended up getting tabled.
So you went 1 and 2 in this round?
Yep. Well, and shout out to that team. They got second. I think that Tony's team was second.
Did they?
They were second.
Nice.
So-
My game, it was a pretty interesting game. Not really. No, it was attrition on attrition. It's about as boring as it gets.
You were the only one that won your game.
I did
though,
win
round
that
2.
round. Yeah. It was attrition on attrition. I'm not going to go into super detail about it because we shot each other. That's what we
Yeah,
did.
I mean, it's Guardian the next one. What do you expect?
Yeah, that's pretty
What did
much.
you play? What quest did you play?
It was, I believe it was Scrolls and Meteors. Scrolls and Meteors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
We shot each other.
so you're 1 and 1 coming out of round 2. Does that change your thought process, how you're approaching round 3?
Yeah, 100%.
How
It
so?
did not.
You can't win.
Well, yeah, we couldn't win.
So it's like it's a disappointment, but also like the pressure's off a little bit.
Yeah.
So what did round 3 look like?
Turn. When I played round 3.
You played the Brotherhood player.
Oh yeah, I guess they did play 2 Brotherhood. So that game was really fun. It ended up being, I think I was on a D with I was on a D. What did we play? What was
That game, if I remember correctly, we offered JP again.
I was offered, and they put Web Warriors into me.
I'm sensing a theme.
That was kind of the plan originally. It was like, okay, well, JP was going to be the offer. It was kind of an all-comers list.
And I played against Chuck, who is a listener. So shout out to Chuck.
Shout out to Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
We played at 20. I think he brought Miles, Hulk, Ghost Spider, ASM Black Cat, if I remember, and I brought Steve, Bill, Hulk, Ghost Spider, Sam. We ended up on Scoundrels Researcher, 9 points on the board. My dice were fucking possessed, and I beat the shit out of Chuck, and I apologized a few times. And I won 20-7. It was like my dice would not quit. I'm like, dude, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry. So I beat 2 out of 3 Web Warriors. So I was feeling all right. It was okay, and I lost Prio again. So first day I was offered, took webs, lost Prio, all 3 games.
Alex, what'd you get?
I'm still recovering from this one. So David and JP, when you travel to tournaments like this, yes, it is the Hydra game. When you travel to tournaments,
This will live on forever in legend.
You get hotel rooms with each other, and because there were 5 of us, we couldn't share one hotel room. So JP and David shared a hotel room, and they were looking at rosters, not including me whatsoever in these conversations.
You're living at Robert. They spooned in David's bed.
Robert was with us.
They had a brotherly spoon.
Yeah, we did.
Like I said,
Meat spittle. We won't go there.
Like I said, moving on. JP were discussing rosters and looking at them, and they were like, "Oh, hey, check out this Hydro."
Yeah, we were looking at the roster
and fucking Sleeper Agent.
Well, no, he had High Hulk in the roster, and I'm looking at the roster. I'm like, there's no Hulk, but there's I Hulk, and then I'm like, ooh, is his plan to use Sleeper Agent at 15 with like, what was it?
I mean, it could be. It doesn't even have to be 15.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like Zemo, I Hulk, and Red Skull.
He didn't have Zemo. It was Strucker and Red Skull too.
Oh, okay.
He didn't have Zemo. Interesting.
The point is, David knew about this.
I didn't know about.
Talked to JP about this all the night before the tournament.
I was like, that's got to be the plan, right?
And he's like,
15.
Oh,
because
yeah,
of the 7?
let's offer up JP like we normally do. I just don't want to go on that fucking table that they put the Hydra guy on with 3 size 4 pieces of terrain. And David's like, no, I just don't want on that table. I don't care what else happens. Didn't mention a fucking thing to me. And he's like, hey, deal with this thing that you didn't know was I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know the roster had it.
I feel like this is what the continental breakfast is for.
We'd stayed in Motel 6, man.
Yeah,
we barely made it out there alive.
Yeah, our door was broke. Like the door to get, you know how they have the like closed door that you're supposed to scan your card in. It was just broke. The latch just totally broke off.
So you had the authentic experience.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Which is weird because
our room had a smell
from what looked like a rich neighborhood. So
our room had a smell we could not identify. It wasn't like a terrible smell.
Hey,
it wasn't a bodily fluid smell. It was more of like a
construction-y kind of smell.
Yeah, it was almost like a drywall mud smell or something. I don't know.
It was weird.
I couldn't quite place it.
You guys had.
And our view was literally the other building, the brick wall.
I took a picture of it. We should post it on Witty Banter.
We'll
Crossroads were like, oh, this is a great view.
we'll post that on the socials. You guys had some interesting atmospheric experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We did.
But I will chalk up my loss on that one a little bit on myself as well. Because, like I said, it was 112-degree sauna that we were playing in, and I forgot how to do basic math. I played that game one thread down again.
It's the Polish Mafia's fault.
It's true. But I'm giving most of it to David, where he's like, oh, yeah, I got 3 size 4s and this thing that I didn't tell my partner about.
Hey, Sleeper Agent I Hulk.
Didn't
mention
a goddamn thing.
I took it for granted because I've Sleeper Agent I Hulk is just kind of a thing that's like we don't have anyone locally who plays Hydra, but
that's just it.
It's been a thing on a forum.
Well, I knew it was a thing. Like I knew it was a thing, but it wasn't mentioned that it was in the rosters. And David knew it was in the roster, and he's like, fuck it.
You'll be fine. You'll figure it out.
And I figured it out with my second asshole that was open.
So how did your game go, David?
So I ended up playing Brotherhood we played on a D, and I don't remember what our actually was.
I will say, though, surviving most of it in my game, my opponent actually did start to sweat it because he almost lost that game.
Would he have lost if you had played a threat up?
I think he would have because I would have played with Logan.
Yeah.
And that would have made a huge difference.
Yeah. Logan is the bomb.
Apparently my opponent did not enter our extract in, so I don't remember what our extract was.
Hammers.
It was Hammers. Yeah, because I had the Corvus train. So this guy, he's playing Brotherhood. He was playing Brotherhood Mystique, and he had Corvus and Proxima. And he had Corvus with Reality. And so I'm like staring at this train, okay, this is Corvus Reality on Hammers.
So he was playing Brotherhood with Corvus and Proxima.
So he played Mystique, Pyro. I don't remember who was other. Maybe it was Toad.
I think it was Toad.
Corvus Proxima.
Your Black Widow smacked his Toad around on top of that building.
Yeah, it was Toad. So, Spectacular also punked him too.
Yeah.
But, so, it was on a D, and we were playing hammers. So he immediately grabs the side hammer with Corvus and approximately run over to that corner, and I'm just like, this is a train I see coming. This is gonna be bad. And I played Tony. What did I play? Tony, Fury. This is a good game. I played Tony Fury, the Black Widow, and Spectacular.
Okay.
And he came up to me on round 2. He had prio, and he like Glaive's edged strike, and I don't remember who it was, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna eye Fury out, or eye whoever it was out, and then he lost his Glaive's edge, and like, so he burned 3 power, so he's like, I guess I'm just gonna move and strike, and he moved and struck, and he dazed somebody and took their hammers, and I was like, oh, this ain't good. So now Corvus has 3 hammers on him, and I'm like, oh, this is dangerous.
Corvus with the reality stone.
And the whole time I was running around with, so Spider-Man had punked his Toad on like round 1. I went up and just like, whoop, and just walked onto the point.
And this is Spectacular.
Spectacular. And then Spectacular was doing things that game. He was doing everything. So on round 2, he ended up moving, throwing. He ended up moving, impact webbing Mystique, and then throwing her into the corner. And then like web swinging back towards my side. So Mystique was like out of the game. And then, so I just have we have this whole cluster that's like, it's like Fury, Tony, Corvus and Proxima, Spectacular, and the Black Widow. We're all in this little, we're all around my D. And I'm just like, this is going to be so bad. And then so when he has all these hammers, he's like, oh, he had Juggernaut too.
Oh, Jesus.
But Juggernaut couldn't, I had played, there was a size 5. So I was like, kind of using that to like stop Juggernaut from pushing in.
That was your round 5.
No, there was another one where I had a size 5 that because Toad was on it on round 1.
Spoiler alert: there were a lot of size 5s.
There was a lot of size 5s.
A lot of size 5s.
Because it was important that there was a size 5 there.
Why was it important there was a size 5 there?
So going into the priority round, I think on round 3, he did not learn from the eye in the sky thing. I'm telling you, I burnt probably 9 power off of Corvus in Glaive's edges, and he got tired of my Spectacular like doing everything, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna execute Spectacular so he can't roll defense dice. He's like, I'm just gonna merge Spectacular, and then I'm like, eye in the sky, and then he's like, oh, and then I was like, oh yeah, you lose the execute and you lose the counting blanks. So then he's like, I guess I'll just go over here and punch. And I think he tried to punch Widow and didn't do any damage to her. So then Widow was like, Spender, drops all his hammers, picks them up, dazes Proxima, and shield mobiles all the way back to the other D, standing on the size 5. So she's got 3 hammers on the size 5. So he couldn't, and all he had left was Juggernaut. And Juggernaut couldn't, he like tried to move, scoot, and punch her, but he couldn't scoot into her, and he couldn't throw terrain at her because she was on top of the thing. So he was like, oh, I can't do anything. And I ended up scoring out because she had 3 fucking hammers. It was just like over there.
Yeah, as someone who has had that experience playing against you, I will feel your pain for your opponent.
The murder train with Corvus with all the hammers, though. Man, so Michael came over and looked at the game, and he's like, does Corvus have 3 hammers? And I was like, yes, he does.
Yes, sir.
This is not good. My Tony did go off, though. He blew up Corvus. He what I call Fistful of Dollars, his $1 billion punch. I call it Fistful of Dollars. I just like boom and threw him into Proxima. I think I got both of them, and it felt so good.
So
it was awesome that round.
So that's round 3, and
Yep.
you guys went 2-1 on that.
Yep.
So you're 2-1 for the first day.
Correct. First day.
So that's the end. And then there's 2 more rounds the next day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's just, for listeners who haven't done one of the, haven't gone to travel to a multi-day tournament. Just give a little flavor of what that's like, kind of the interregnum between a Saturday and a Sunday when you're out of town, you're traveling, you're staying at a sketch hotel. So it's just kind of what does that feel like? It's obviously different than just going and chilling for an evening.
Place we went to for lunch.
Yeah, I was gonna say Pita Inn, if we're allowed to give shout outs to restaurants. That place was pretty fucking good.
And Michael, how much did Michael pay for his thing?
Michael paid like 15, 20, not even $20.
No, it wasn't $20. I saw it was like maybe 11.
It was like Michael ordered for a small family.
Yeah, he got like a giant plate of saffron rice. He got like vegetables.
I don't know what he was thinking.
He got shawarma, and then he got a shawarma sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then he left half of it.
He was confused, I think.
I don't know what he was.
I was confused too, but I just didn't want to order too much, so I only ordered one.
I just got a one shawarma thing with the pita bread. It was good.
Yeah, that place was awesome. That was a very tasty lunch. But over like the weekend long tournaments, they're probably one of my favorite things to do. Coming from 40K, I have traveled weekend tournaments all the time, and it builds a different type of camaraderie with each other.
Well, we hung out with the KC guys on Saturday.
Yeah, we hung out with Infamous Group and the Muse Group.
Those two guys are funny. They're funny.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was
and
Stigar and Josh.
Oh, they were on the team with my brother. My brother was on their team.
Yeah.
That was so fun that night, just bullshitting
and
really talking about the stupid fucking game. It was great.
So if you have not had the opportunity to go to like a full weekend where you travel and you get the whole experience, that's something you'd recommend?
I would recommend it.
Yeah, you should do it.
It is so
If you're interested in doing it, just do it. It's fun.
Do it on a shoestring. Stay in a sketchy Motel 6.
Yep.
Go to the cheapest food places you can find.
I wouldn't suggest the Motel 6, but that's just me.
Come on now.
Get all your shots.
We go to Lowe's and spend $17.
I did get scratched by that broken door. It had like a shard of like steel hanging out, and I just kind of like stuck my forearm out to stop the door. It was like, oh, okay, maybe I have tetanus. No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna risk it though. I'm not gonna go get a shot. We'll figure it out later.
For listeners in an audio medium, we are observing a scar on JP's arm, which I'm thinking maybe needs some additional medical attention.
Did you get your tetanus shot?
It looks fine. It's been a couple weeks.
I'm all right.
You haven't gotten locked out yet, so
I'm slack-jawed as fuck. We're good.
But
maybe that's why you didn't have an introduction for yourself other than JP.
I'm Cletus, a slack-jawed yokel.
Weekend tournaments are a blast. If you can do it, please do it. Just as a one-time experience. It doesn't have to be the biggest tournament out there, like LVO or Adepticon. But if it's just a weekend close community thing, do it. It's my favorite thing to do. It's so fun.
Yeah. So we're a full day in, and you're kind of having an opportunity to sort of reset. What were your observations about what you saw from the tournament as a whole, and how did it differ from what you were expecting to see?
So going into Sunday, there was what, 4 undefeated teams?
Yeah, no, 3. There were 3. No,
I thought someone was getting a pair down.
Somebody got a pair down.
They paired down into Infamous or Franklin's team.
So I remember talking. So I talked to DeLuca on after his first game, and he was really worried. So their team was really worried about getting the pair down into us or into Franklin.
Mm.
Those were the two. They were like, okay, if we get a pair down, these are the teams we don't want to pair down into.
Mm.
And they ended up catching the Infamous guys. They ended up catching Franklin and Michael and Tango.
Just in case, if there's a listener who's not familiar with something like that, what's a pair down mean?
So that means the undefeated team would pair down with our team that has 1 loss, and then what would happen is if they would have lost that game, then we wouldn't have played another round because there would have been only 1 undefeated.
So the way most of these tournaments run is
because DeLuca, they ended up.
Were there only 3 undefeateds?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Basically, with the Swiss style pairing, the teams or the players that have the better records get paired against each other, and so far down. So when you have a pair down, if you have 3 undefeated teams, somebody's got to end up playing a X and 1 team.
Yeah, correct. And DeLuca was specifically like, I need to worry. Like, he told me that he was like, they were up all night looking at our rosters and the infamous rosters guys because they were like, I don't want to play those guys.
So did you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So did you think about or talk about changing your strategy at all between Saturday and Sunday?
Nope. Because this round, I listened to David again.
I mean, I think it was a fine strategy. I mean, I got put down again. I didn't get webs.
Round 4.
I didn't get webs. I got criminals.
Okay.
Which is a different flavor of webs. Played against Graham. He was a really good opponent. Really knowledgeable, competent opponent. I ended up losing that game. It was a lot closer than the score would indicate. I lost 20-11. It did make me. I did have a little bit of an epiphany about hammers, specifically into Rhino.
How so?
My list is either like grab hammers with Hulk or grab a hammer with Bill. If I grab a hammer with Bill, like I did in our game, because I wanted to go wide. I had the advantage of being. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was 5v5. He had prio, so I had the advantage of having last act every round, unless I gave him prio, unless he gave me prio. So that was good in that because we were trying to outscore. But my hammer grab was Bill, and when you have a hammer, your tactics cards cost 1 more.
Right.
Rhino has robbery, so if I move up, eyes on the prize, Bill. Grab a hammer, I have 0 power. Round 2, I gain 2 power with Bill. Mission objective costs 3. So he could have done that, and he was contemplating it, and then he asked me if I had mission objective, and I said yes, and that's all I said. And he decided not to robbery me. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, my mission objective costs 3. Fuck. So,
and you intentionally held on, just answered the question. You were honest, but you didn't volunteer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already playing against Kingpin on Scoundrel's Hammers. Like, I mean, that's a tough go. So I don't want to give him any more advantage. And I told him after the game, I'm like, I didn't want to make it just a complete blowout, so I didn't tell you, but you could have stolen my hammer.
And we're going to, once we get done with everything, we're going to talk a little bit about etiquette in a tournament circumstance. But that's kind of a really interesting scenario for where you think through something like that. Mm-hmm. So how did your game end up?
I had it, round 1 ended 5-3 his favor, but I had last act on that, so I was able to push Gwen off. But before that, he had activated Bill on his back point, and I had my Gwen move up and try to punch his Gwen to get 1 power. Because earlier in the round, he had tried to impact webbing my Steve, and I lifesavered him, so my Gwen had 0 power. And I was just trying to gen 1 power off the punch. And I was going to advance off the punch onto his back point, and with the power I gened, I was going to pull his Bill. But it didn't end up doing any damage, so I ended up sitting in my back point. But if that had happened, it would have been 4-4. It would have been a lot closer game.
Okay.
But I don't want to say Dice bailed him out. He was a great player. He made all the right moves. But Dice were definitely in his favor of that game, and it didn't help me out any.
Okay. Alex, how'd your game go?
Dice just hated me that game. It was bad. I did math correctly that time. It took me 2 turns to flip 1 point with 7 energy defense total on a meteor. Pyro and Bullseye failed 4 fucking flips. It was terrible. Jesus Christ.
I
the
can
math on that, I
feel
don't
that.
know what it is, but it's awful. It's super awful. I ended up playing against Avengers, Sam Spam. His Sam was on fire. I think there was one round I counted he did 9 damage with 4 dice. Don't know how it's possible, but it happened.
Wait, what?
somehow. His dice were hot. That was the point.
Oh.
His Sam threw shields and was doing like 5, 10 damage every time.
Literally nothing you can't do.
Sam has 4 hammers. He's injured with Death Decree.
The point was his dice were hot.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
And it didn't help that mine cooled off real bad overnight. He was a good player though. Not saying that it was just dice, but dice really helped him in that case because round 1 it was scrolls again. I played a lot of scrolls this weekend. It was 3-4 round 1, if I remember correctly. And then it just filed out of control from there. I scored 0 points round 2. It was rough. Round 3 is where it basically ended. Because I think it was 15-5 or something like that. But it really hurt when Psylocke with 7 dice with 3 rerolls cannot do 2 damage to him. It was bad. It was real bad.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I lost Prio round 4.
So you're over.
So I was offered, got the scenario team, lost Prio.
Nice.
4 times in a row.
What did your game look like, David?
So my game, spoiler alert, I ended up on Gamma Researcher again.
It seems like a.
Yeah.
I think
And this time, I was like, you know what, I'm going to play Tony. I'm not going to make that same
so
mistake.
you learned your lesson.
So I played Tony Taskmaster Thanos.
Who were you playing into?
I was playing into Red Skull Cabal, Red Skull 3.
So you played against 2 Red Skull 3 lists on Gamma
One
Researcher.
didn't have Thanos, though. The other one,
Oh,
the first one did, but the
okay.
other one didn't.
Really?
He didn't have Thanos.
Okay,
He had Ultron. He ran Ultron Dynamo, Thanos, Ultron Dynamo, Red Skull, and Zemo. Is that right?
That's pretty good too.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Is that 15?
No.
Bullseye. He ran Bullseye. Bullseye was
Okay.
So he ran Bullseye, and Bullseye's not very good at Thanos. Bullseye was real bad at Thanos.
Yeah.
He was real
He
bad.
can't do the
He
thing
never
he likes to
misses,
do.
but he can't do any damage.
Yep.
He never hurts Thanos. So I was like, okay, he like kind of pulled his Red Skull up because I like ran Taskmaster out there. And I'm like, I'm just gonna stay on this point, Taskmaster. I sit rep Tony onto the back point, and then I'm gonna run Taskmaster in the middle. Okay, see what you do. See if you can take out Taskmaster right now. So he runs. He moves Red Skull up. He puts a fucking builder in and one shot Taskmaster. I'm just like, what the fuck? So Taskmaster gets dazed, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. so then,
I think that was your exact words. I was standing next to you, and I'm pretty
stupid.
sure you
Oh,
said
it
that's
gets
stupid.
It gets stupider. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna push Thanos in the Taskmaster in the Red Skull space. I left him on 1 again. I double punched and left him on 1.
So how did that end?
He just hates me. I don't know. So then he walks up with Ultron and does 8 damage to Thanos on a builder.
Ooh.
And I was like,
I think your exact words again were, "This is stupid."
yeah, he just fucking blew up Thanos. And I'm like, okay, so Thanos just got dazed on round 1.
Alrighty.
David's like, this is how it feels to receive my attack dice. Okay, this is kind of stupid. Now I see why everyone's bitching about it.
It was very, very stupid. So, yeah. And then he moved Dynamo onto the back point, and then I think he moved Dynamo mid, and then I moved Tony up double, or I already had him up there. I just double shot Dynamo off the point, and I had Thanos standing on the point, so I scored the Researcher and scored the Gamma. So then I'm like, okay, Thanos is dazed. I need to back this thing up. So I just started pulling the Researcher back to me because I'm like, okay, this is gonna get crazy, and and then I activated Thanos dazed his Red Skull and dazed I dazed his Red Skull and I dazed
Bullseye?
no, I didn't daze
Dynamo?
I dazed
Ultron?
No, I dazed Ultron. And then
That's pretty good.
I dropped the Taskmaster Death Decreed 8-dicer into Dynamo and got him too. I was like, okay, this is good. I like this. I don't know, it wasn't 8 dice, it was like 12.
Yeah.
Because it was 4 from the Desecree, 4 because he's 4 physical, and then 4 base. So I was like, I just dropped 12 dice into Dynamo and said, nope, you're going to go away.
Apparently.
And then he KO'd my Thanos. I'm like, okay, I don't got Thanos. So now I'm like, it's just Tony and Taskmaster. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep pulling this researcher back because eventually I think I can score it out. Because he ended up dark raining and getting my Thanos. But he ended up getting my Thanos with Bullseye in the dark rain because he got enough power to pin cushion. And that's how he ended up finishing. Because he tried to dark rain my Thanos at the top of the round, and he left my Thanos on 1, and then I battlefield medicine and back up to 4. And I removed the shock. Dynamo. And so, yeah, he tried to because he didn't have any characters because I killed Red Skull. So he had his only character who could benefit from dark raining was Ultron and Bullseye. And he didn't get me with Ultron, so he ended up getting me with Bullseye. So then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have Taskmaster hang around in this middle point, and I'm going to keep pulling it back towards Tony. And eventually he just, like, blew up Taskmaster. So it's like, all right, I got Tony versus Thanos and Bullseye and an Ninja Dynamo. And Tony lived for 3 rounds, and he did not die. And I was sitting on my back D, like, holding on for dear life.
That is very cinematic.
Tony ended up getting Dynamo and Bullseye, and so it was just Thanos. But then Thanos just murdered my Tony and
You mean Ultron?
or Ultron? No. Oh yeah, because he did have Ultron.
Oh, okay.
I forgot his Ultron was there.
Listen, David had so much PTSD from round 2 Thanos and his boner for Shield Thanos.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Thanos is on his brain.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, his Ultron was.
It's
really
like
good that game.
It's like being John Malkovich. All he can say is like Thanos, 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 Thanos,
Yeah.
Thanos, Thanos.
Or like you with Hulk.
So all I had left was Tony. And Tony lived.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I could have won. It ended up he tabled me, but it was 10-10. If it would have gone another round to round 6, I would have won because I had the researcher and the back point. But I just couldn't keep Tony alive. But Tony he'd be like, I do 4 damage, I block 3, reduce, take 0, and he's just like, like yes.
So, did you guys go?
How'd your game go, Alex?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
We didn't
we
cover
talked about
did
it.
we?
I
Okay.
got diced like
Okay. David's was so long I forgot.
I diced myself and my opponent diced me. Again, the opponent was
All right.
great and he was very smart.
So we got fucking
got diced.
Johnny swept.
We did.
Like Johnny sweep the leg.
Okay.
We got 0-3, feeling like fucking turds.
We just got like completely
Turd in the punch bowl situation. Like it was terrible.
So round 4 didn't go so well. So how did round 5 go?
Well, different. I will say I was not offered.
Okay. Who was offered?
So, okay, I'll take over this part a little
Before I forget, I was not offered, and I won Prio.
I think we're seeing a connection.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't listen to David.
I think we're seeing a connection.
So what I ended up doing, I said, well, fuck it. We can't get second. Because that's what we were trying to shoot for day 2. We had a chance of getting second. So why not?
Yeah.
I said, well, we lost that round. Fuck it. I didn't look at any of the rosters. I didn't look at any of the papers to say, like, player ABC, 1, 2, 3, whatever. I didn't look at any of the papers. I took all of our papers and moved us down a table to the left and just did a rotate. And that's it.
Okay.
We got the pair ups that we wanted.
Okay.
And we won that round.
Who got offered?
David technically
I
got
did,
offered,
yeah,
but
I see.
I didn't.
Okay, and who went?
Purposely.
David, who went into you?
I got Brotherhood again.
So it's your 3rd Brotherhood match?
2.
No, that was
Oh, 2. Okay.
2. So in whatever games I played, 2
Oh,
2 Brotherhood, 2 Cabal, and
with the Juggernaut with the size 5 on the table.
yes.
Were they both Mystique?
Yeah, they were both Steve.
Okay.
That last game was my most fun game of the weekend.
Okay.
I played against Phil. Shout out to Phil. He listens to the pod, so he immediately was like, "Oh, you guys are the Witty Banter guys." I'm like, "Yeah." He's
Thanks,
like, "I
Phil.
listen to you guys," and I was like, "Cool."
Thanks, Phil. We love you.
So it ended up being Senators and Gamma. Enemy centers and Gamma.
God, you played Gamma so many
I
times.
did. I played a lot of Gamma.
That's more than I've played Gamma.
I played
in
Scoundrels
months.
against Mike, and then it was I was like Gamma.
Well, in fairness, if they're not going to do a Highlander style team tournament, that's probably going to be what you're going to end
Yeah,
up
very
with.
true. Not denying that.
So he did the 19 Brotherhood Senators thing. So he had Juggernaut, Hulk, Mystique, Pyro, and Toad.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming she had Deception.
And he had Deception. So I was like, this is my last game. Thanos has been failing me the entire time. I'm just not going to play. I'm going to play Shield. So I was like, you know what? Bust out all the Shield. So I went super wide Shield. And I was like, I got Prio. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to steal your back Senator, and I'm going to take my Senator with Fury and leave him within 2 so you can't Deception me. So I was like, good plan.
Leroy Jenkins.
I like this. So then he realizes that I had done this, and he's like, okay. So then he goes up with Juggernaut, and he double moves, grabs my Senator, and throws Fury into my deployment zone, like way out.
Oh my god.
He just do you know who I am? Fury out. And I was like, whoa,
That's a long way.
that just happened. And then so he took my
Did he punch you?
no
He fucking wiffle balled him.
I'm curious how he pulled
Mystique's
that off.
leadership.
Oh, Mystique. Okay, that's what it was.
Because it refunds the power. So
Yep,
he just
you're right.
moved. He just double moved, picked the center up, and threw Tony away.
It's a
Or
long way
Fury
away.
Yeah. So Fury's like way in the corner, but
He's
I'm
a
like,
juggernaut, bitch.
yeah.
Yes.
But Fury was
Do you
holding
know
the
who I am?
Senator, so I was like, cool. I guess he'll be out here. And then so I'm like, okay. I double moved Taskmaster, stole his on the other side of Juggernaut. So then he goes up with Hulk, and he steals my Senator, and he punches. Did he punch? I think he moved. Oh no! I guess he couldn't leap and pull. Can you move, leap, pull a Senator? He can.
Yeah.
He can.
Yeah, sure.
So he pulled.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, he pulled the Senator, and then he punched Taskmaster.
You would want to move though,
Yeah.
and then leap after.
Yeah.
Since you're limited to one movement with the senator.
Well, no, I don't even think he did that. I think he actually.
That's the move to pull the far one though.
I think he
If you're
actually
doing that.
moved left, punched Taskmaster, moved and grabbed his Senator. Or, yeah, he. Wait.
I don't know. Did all your models touch dicks?
Yeah, everybody was like around the thing in the middle. Yeah, they were definitely.
It's just like a big circle jerk.
With an apartment building.
Yeah, there was a
smack
big
dab
size
in the middle of
5
the
in the middle, and I had it set up so that Hulk couldn't get up there. And he grabbed my Senator with Toad.
Wait, there's a size 5 apartment building in the middle.
It's
of
in the middle. There were four Senators on the size 5.
Oh my
Two
god.
of the Senators were like hanging off the edge, or
Oh.
like right on the.
They were edging.
Yeah, they were right edges. Literally.
Were
So-
they like confused, scared, yet slightly aroused,
Yeah, they were
like civilians watching from the from the apartment windows? The superhero circle jerk.
JP was in that apartment apparently. He saw Hulk and was like, "Uh-oh."
Hey man,
We can comment on which senators we're talking about here, but we should probably move on.
So yeah, Taskmaster took the one. He took the other one with Hulk. Oh, maybe he just double moved it through with Hulk. He double moved, picked up.
it was your game, man. I don't know.
It was I don't know why you're looking it up. He double moved and he threw. Oh, he threw my Tony. He threw Tony back. He threw Tony out, and he double moved and threw Tony out. So then I moved with Spectacular, dazed his toe with a punch. It was Spectacular, and then I took his Senator, and I'm like, okay. I guess.
Toto's real slippery from that circle jerk.
And then he moved Pyro up and tried to shoot my Taskmaster, and I ran Widow around the building and stole his Senator. I double moved Widow around the side of the building and stole his Senator. So then I still had Commandos left, so I moved Commandos, shot Juggernaut, did 2 damage to him, and hopped Tony back up to the point. So I was like, cool, I can do this. And then Tony activates and fucking does like 6 damage to Juggernaut.
Fuck off, David.
And takes his senator too.
JP only says that because I think you played Juggernaut twice. Once into me, and I think once into David, and both times his Juggernaut dies immediately.
So I ended that round with scoring the scoring the mid gamma, and I had 5 senators.
Ooh.
It was pretty ridiculous. And then he just couldn't do anything with Juggernaut because like Juggernaut couldn't bump anybody that was on top of the building. Right. So Widow did not throw a single attack that game. I literally just ran her back around the building, and that's it.
So you ended up winning.
Yes.
Okay. What'd your game go like, JP?
Okay, so like I said, I was not offered. I won Prio. We ended up on. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm fighting against X-Men Xavier list, and I've got Avengers. It'll just be like we'll just kind of smack each other around a little bit.
X-Men versus Avengers, baby.
We ended up on Intrusions, Scrolls. So out of all these stinky games, the only game that I'm not going against a straight scenario team, I end up on Intrusions. That has 1,500,627 decision trees. And I'm like, fuck me. We end up on, I think we played 20 threat.
Oh my god.
So it's just like, fuck. It was my Steve, Panther, Dynamo, Cage, Ultron versus his Professor X, Nightcrawler, Dynamo, Cable, Domino.
Oof.
And it was just a crazy game of just teleporting and trying to like jockey for position and balance like attrition and scenario.
Nightcrawler sounds like it'd be really fun on Intrusions though.
It was a really slow.
Please.
He was all right. I targeted him a little bit. It was really slow scoring at the start. It ended up picking like the score ended up picking up a little bit. But by the end I had killed everybody except Dynamo, and I still had Dynamo, Cage, and Steve, so I was able to just like outscore him. I won 21-12. I played against John. He seemed a little frustrated at the end. He probably had a hot, sweaty weekend like we did.
Yeah.
Just frustrations,
Did
and
you just
he's just like
his Xavier early?
Yeah, I tried to target
Xavier's rough.
He
Can confirm.
He played him cagey, but I still was able to target him. Yeah. I had a decent amount of range. He picked on my Panther.
Sam is like Xavier's worse than
I didn't take Sam.
You didn't take Sam?
No.
Oh.
I took Steve, Panther, Dynamo, Cage, Ultron.
Panther's not real nice to Xavier either.
He's not, but I had Panther on the flank, and he was picking on my Panther actually because Panther had rolled up and picked up a scroll. He was picking on him with Cable and Domino, so he had like leveraged twice as many points against him. And yeah, I got real lucky on a couple defenses and was able to keep some people around that probably shouldn't have been kept around for as long as they were. So, but I ended up winning 21-12.
Okay. How about your game, Alex?
I played webs that round.
We got you the matchup that we were trying to get you to have.
Yeah.
The whole time.
The problem is my opponent Brett. He picked a threat that wouldn't work. To stay affiliated, it didn't work.
Oh.
So I couldn't take Hella in the squad.
This is where that Bishop conversation.
Hey,
you wanted to run Bishop.
I really
We should have let you run Bishop, but
and I was talked out of it for Hella to not do the Hella thing.
Bishop sucks.
Fuck that guy.
I digress again on that one. But it was a good game. I was hot, tired, and frustrated by the end of that weekend.
You were hot?
I was fucking
Bro, I was chilling.
I made a lot of mistakes.
I had an island
game.
breeze on my nuts. It was like I was in a freezer.
It was hot. It was very hot. It was very
I played against Brett's Webs, and I'm fucking sick of seeing Bill. I'm fucking sick of seeing Bill. Bill needs to be on the bandit restricted list.
Bill needs something. I don't know.
Fucking he's good.
He's so good.
He's good, and like that's fine. But Jesus, can we stop seeing him for like 1 second?
I think people overplay Bill.
That's my
They
point.
probably play Bill when they shouldn't.
I would agree.
I'm just
but
saying,
he's still good.
I don't know if Bill can be overplayed.
Yeah, maybe not.
Like, is he bad in
But-
anything?
That's part of the thing. He's sort of the Swiss Army knife.
He gets a little weird on a D if you can like mess with him, but
He's got aggressive though.
he does get aggressive.
his build was pretty fantastic. After 12 attacks, took no damage.
Whew.
He is a tanky bitch.
He is.
Having
But-
4/4 damage reduction is pretty good.
Yeah,
Damage reduction
it
is
does
0.
work out.
I mean, one thing that I can remember from that game that was a mistake. I played Mark for Death on Miles, which is correct.
Yeah.
That's the thing to do.
That's the thing you do.
But for whatever reason, I thought it was a good idea to go with Psylocke instead of Cable. That was
Oh.
right there.
Yeah.
Don't know what the thought process was there.
Maybe you thought you needed to not have him have his rerolls, but you already marked for death him.
I said I'm activating Psylocke and I'm playing Mark for Death, and
And I'm choosing energy. Just a haha.
I still pick Mystic. I don't know what I do.
You missed the meme, man.
I was fucking baked, and not the good kind, apparently.
That's all David.
Yeah, that's 100%
True, but that was like the big mistake that I just remember from that game. I don't know why I did it, and it didn't cost me the game. It just I don't know what I was thinking. That game actually ended up very, very close, even with. I know there were a couple more mistakes that I made
So,
during that game.
Back up. Did Mark for Death do anything, or were you able to kill him with Psylocke?
No. Mark for Death did end up doing it because Psylocke fucking failed me.
Okay.
So not only did
So it wasn't a completely useless card.
No, it
there.
wasn't.
Okay.
No. It wasn't the
so
Mark
Cable,
for Death.
did Cable do the thing?
No. Domino did. She threw
Oh,
two
yeah.
grenades at range 4 and blew them up.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
Unexpected.
Yeah, it was
I'll take
totally
that.
unexpected. I loved it.
Yet satisfying.
It was. It was just the activating Psylocke with the Mark for Death was pointless.
Yeah, you touched.
The Mark for Death was
Right.
the good
No,
choice.
for sure. For sure.
And were you within range 3 too of him? Cable?
With the body slide, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, I was like,
Oh, Miles was like right on top of me.
yeah. So you didn't have to buy slide.
Trust me, I'm like, what the fuck am I
There was a circle jerk on every table.
It was I had no idea what I was doing, but when it was all said and done, like I made a couple of mistakes during that game, but it was still a 16-14 game.
That's pretty good.
Mhm.
So had I done maybe a few things a little differently, I would have won it. Actually, I almost won it with Deadpool, with a couple of maximum efforts.
Oh, I saw those. That was super cool.
He fucking
Yeah,
maximum,
he was like rolling around, hitting everybody.
he maximum effort and ended up. If I remember correctly, he ended up dazing. He ended up dazing Ben, Scarlet Spider, and dazing Cat with it. But my placement, I was off by like a nut hair to get the power from the maximum effort, the trigger from Dance Party, to be able to pick up a point.
With all the circle jerking, you'd think you could find a spare nut hair.
If there's anybody that's going to find it, it's Deadpool.
Deadpool would find it, but it's all smooth that day.
I do have to shout out in my last game, Taskmaster fucking one-shot Juggernaut with a
Whoa.
spinner.
Fuck off, David.
I had his reroll plus 3 Jarvis rerolls. I was like, bloom! Get out of here, Juggernaut.
So what are your broad takeaways? And so, how many teams totally were at the
22,
event?
I believe.
Yep, 22.
So 66 players.
Yes.
And DeLuca, Sheik, and who's
Sooner.
Sooner. They won.
Okay.
They got first place.
So
And they brought Cabal, X-Force, and Web.
Webs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was the biggest surprise you had about how the games played out, or what you saw compared to what you were expecting to see?
The fucking disrespect for Avengers.
Were you the only Avengers player?
I don't know, but I kept getting all the scenario players coming to me.
That's why
And I was 50% against
for the
them.
next team event, you and I talk most of it out. And Dave is just not allowed to really.
I'll just play with my wizards in the corner.
Yes, that's what happened in our first team tournament, and we swept that one.
I still don't hate offering Avengers. Because
I
like,
don't either, because that's what we did the first time around too. But we talked it out a little bit.
if they put scenario into them, I feel like Steve with his discount can tempo out a decent lead, and he can keep up in the game a decent amount.
I think it got weird because I think you wanted to bring Spectacular, and I had him in the roster too.
I don't know if that got weird because that day I did not run Miles once, and he would have taken Miles' place. Gwen is a fucking all-star.
Yeah.
The premier 3-threat splash for a scenario in that list is Gwen, because she can do the stupid, both of her superpowers for 2 for 1. One of them is reactive, so you can do it a shitload during a round for 1.
The lightsaber?
And yeah,
did you even use your lightsabers?
I did once. I didn't use it a lot, but having just a stapled bodyguard in your list is ridiculous with Gwen.
It is.
It's so hard to target her, except with terrain throws. But then you run brace, and they have to have 2 of them to even do some damage to her.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. She's really good in that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think...
I underestimated the Red Skull 3.
How so?
I knew that roster was good. Red Skull 3 is really good. But, I just didn't expect to see it, I guess.
Was there something that it went with, or was it just...
Well, it's because nobody played it at Adepticon. Nobody had that roster at Adepticon. So I was looking at it maybe there's just something that isn't there with that roster.
Do you think it's because it was a team tournament?
I don't know.
I still feel like it's not optimal on Ds.
Probably isn't.
Thanos just doesn't do well on Ds, in my opinion.
But if you're in a team tournament, you can kind of work your way around that, so that's not as big of a drawback.
Yeah.
My takeaway is basic edition. Because I really feel like if excluding the first game, I think Aaron still probably would have beat me, but it would have been a little bit closer. But that game against Hydra probably would have been a lot better.
If you argue with Matt, you will lose.
Yeah, and sure enough, I did.
Yeah.
Logan is definitely better than your best 3.
Yeah, well, I took Pyro in that game, and Pyro would have turned into Logan, and that would have been way better.
So, if you're preparing for a team tournament after having this experience, what in your strategy, what in your thoughts would change?
Are we talking about the same type of team tournament?
That was going to be the next question.
All team tournaments should be fucking Highlander.
Yeah.
That's just how it should be.
Yeah,
So, to get into that, how many different crises did you think that you saw?
In just our games?
I got Gamma freaking Researcher twice.
I was about to say, I just in
and I got a D on stupid Brotherhood twice.
Yeah, just in listening, I kept sort of hearing it's Gamma again. Oh, it seemed like you saw the same things. So did that make the games feel a little repetitive?
Yes.
Well, I don't think there was a lot of crisis variants.
No, there wasn't. I played Scrolls 3 out of the 5 games that I played. Granted, 3 of them were mine. They were all mine. But
even so,
I played Scrolls 3 times, and I played Meteors 3 times, and that was because my opponents had Meteors. 3 of them had Meteors too. I'm the crises variations was not that great.
No.
Do you think on a Highlander where you have to modify the crises, does that change your choices in terms of what models or what lists you bring?
Yes.
How so?
Well, we discussed it last episode a little bit. With we like to think of one super scory team, one attrition team, and somebody that plays pay to flips.
But if you can repeat a crisis, you don't really need to do that.
No, and that goes out the window. There's no planning whatsoever.
I think it makes your pairing decisions a lot better, like a lot
More impactful.
more impactful. Yeah, because you're like, oh, I know that this team is trying to do this.
Yeah, and that just wasn't there this time around.
Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't there.
just-
It made it weird.
personally felt as though it took some of the fun of a team tournament out
Well,
of it.
I mean, then your restricted cards get like not everybody's running like the standard like brace.
Yeah, you put your throwy team into the list that doesn't have brace.
Yeah.
But like in our case, everyone had brace, everyone had fallback, everyone had mission objective, everyone had eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 of our tactics cards were all the same.
I was listening to
And-
I was listening to some of the other conversations about squad goals, and one of the suggestions I heard was where you can repeat restricted cards but nothing else.
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
No,
you can repeat restricted?
people were discussing that. Like, okay, well,
it just needs to be straight.
I just straight
What?
highlighter.
Why would you be able to repeat restricted but
Just-
nothing else?
Just because
That seems like counterintuitive.
Restricted cards are valuable, but
I agree.
I think
mean,
it's because restricted cards have such an outsized value that
Okay.
you don't have such a penalty for a team that doesn't have it, but all the other cards like fallback or any of the other non-restricted cards, you still have to strategize around that. That was at least the thought process. In some ways, it's sort of, the camel being the horse designed by a committee. It's kind of the compromise.
I don't know. I think you should still do because it makes you have to
Just
like.
make it fucking Highlander.
Yeah, it makes you have to like actually strategize with your team. It's
Right,
like, okay,
exactly.
do I need brace? Okay, who needs brace here? Like, who needs this card?
Well, and like I had this discussion with a local Brian. Shout out to you, buddy.
Who?
Brian.
What's his last name?
I remember that guy.
The Brian who is Brian.
Him and I talked about it a little bit, and he did bring up the allowing restricted cards to be duplicated. And I straight said no. The reason behind it is because that takes some of the strategy out of the whole point of it being a team event and doing pairings.
It seems like some of the conversation is how much do you want the team tournament to be different than a singles event? Do you because then your preparation's different. If your team tournament preparation, if you're doing a Highlander and you have to do all this different stuff, when you're practicing almost an entirely different roster and set of models and tactics cards than you would be for a singles tournament. Whereas when you don't do it Highlander, when you do it closer to that, you're able to sort of do practice for both at the same time. If you're trying to get reps in, and reps are king in the game, it for a team tournament, it forces you to put reps in on something really substantially different than what you're playing otherwise.
I see where you're coming from on that one, and that was kind of the reasoning that I heard and got from the group that ran it.
Yeah, I was listening to those guys. That was what they were saying, and I see where they're
I
coming
think
from.
that's kind of a cop out, though,
I
right?
think
Because
it's a cop out too.
if you're building a team roster, you don't know what your opponent's going to bring. So, like, you should be prepared to play anything theoretically.
Theory, yes, and like it just seems like such a huge cop out. If you're practicing to be good, what's it matter if you don't have certain cards or not?
Yeah.
Last I checked, back in November of 2019, we only had the core box. So
Yeah.
you're practicing for just the core box with X amount of things.
It is just it really goes to the heart of what a team tournament's supposed to be. Is it supposed to be something that's real similar to a singles but with a little twist, or a whole different animal? And it's
Not playing Highlander makes it feel like you're just 3 people on a team playing separate games. Like, you just...
Yeah, it's
You're
not
just-
a team.
Yeah,
thing.
it's not a team thing.
You're just.
It's
a
like,
team
oh, I
because
did.
there's
I
three
want my game cool.
Let's pick 3 affiliations that don't overlap that much on characters and play 3 different games.
So, what other lessons do you think you took from that? What do you feel like other than doing other arithmetic, what other lessons do you feel like you got out of your experience in Chicago?
I don't like playing attrition. I like playing the game.
Okay.
I like attacking. I like displacement. I like stopping displacement. I like playing the game.
Okay.
I don't like just rolling dice and relying on dice for the most part.
So is that going to change the affiliations you play?
Sure, the fuck ain't gonna be X-Force anymore.
Given the fact that I just did an X-Force roster, this is not making me feel good.
I
Sooner
learned-
went 5-0 with X-Force?
I think we did.
No, he had
you're
one
right.
loss.
Well,
I think
It's
Sinner-
4-1?
Yeah, I think he had one.
And
That's respectable.
That's for him.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not.
No,
for
I'm
me.
saying for Patrick though,
Right,
he's
right.
there
I
are
just-
other examples
I
of people succeeding. So
Exactly. Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
I understand that. I am also not Sooner, but I appreciate what
that's
you're saying.
yeah.
I just don't like attrition. I've never liked it. If I wanted to play a dice game, I just go back to playing 40k. I can roll 600 fucking d6 and win a game.
I learned that there shouldn't be so many fucking size 5s everywhere. There was way too many. Every other table had a size 5. And they were playing with the Sanctum, which was like fucking garbage.
I never had to play on a Sanctum table, luckily.
Ugh.
They
They were-
look really cool.
They look cool, but they are so
Yeah.
immaculate. Like because of the railing, you can't the little like slide. You can't stand models
Well,
on there.
it tapers into the railing,
Yeah,
and you can't put anybody outside the railing on the taper because it's tapered
yeah.
upward, and inside the railing, there's not a ton of room. And if you want to balance on the railing, you risk breaking your models. It's just an awkward building for
It is.
sure.
Yeah,
But it does look cool.
It
I
does
agree.
look cool. It's not a Quinjet, but it's Quinjetti.
It was one of my favorite things to paint.
I still want to paint a Sanctum. It looks really cool.
Mine is still all on the sprue. I only opened that box to fish out the mailbox.
Oh, I was gonna ask what you did with the mail. Oh, you did for your CGR.
It has a mailbox?
I use it to add stability to my CGR.
Because your
Oh.
CGR is like going through it, right?
He's
comes
like
with
he's
four
like
of my
sideswiping it, and
It
knocking
comes
it
with
over.
4 of my favorite size 1 pieces of terrain: the stop sign, the street sign,
Ooh.
the mailbox, and the fire hydrant.
Oh, that's where the street sign came from. Okay.
Those tables were weird.
They were weird.
Like all the tables that had a size 5 still had like 2 size 4s.
When they
It's not
had
rough.
they had
It was
some tables
rough.
that had like 4 size 4s on them too.
It was rough.
Well, going back to the size 5 thing, a lot of the size 5s I felt were centrally located
Yeah, they just
on the
they
table
just
as
kinda
well.
were like,
It's just
all
like
right,
we
dark,
want
boom.
we want this big null zone in the very middle where nobody can see anybody, and everybody has to climb. It's super awkward.
when it gives teams like Webs just like such a big advantage.
It does. I feel like it's a negative play experience
It
for
is,
me
it is.
personally.
It's not good.
I hate a big ass piece of terrain that can't be thrown right in the middle of the fucking table, like as a common thing. Like
David
maybe once.
says that a size 5 is a negative play experience for him. And then he really, really pushed for some size 5s. on
I
my
think we
tables.
should have a couple. I don't think you should
No.
have no size 5.
Yeah, I mean size 5's fine, but they had like one every other table. It
Yeah.
seemed like.
It was
Any other thoughts in terms of your team tournament experience and what, if anything, you can take from that when you go back to playing just kind of a standard singles event?
I don't know if there's a
It's not-
translation there.
Yeah, it's not really.
Two totally different things. I don't know if I'd change anything if I took Avengers again. I think the all comers list was fine.
Aside from Miles' spectacular swap. If you had the option.
Maybe, but I didn't run Miles. Like, if I'm taking a splash, it's gonna be Gwen because she's stupid. But I mean, Miles spectacular wouldn't hurt, but I don't know if I would have the opportunity to run spectacular. Maybe because I was using Bill a lot.
Really.
And like I think I ran Gwen like 4 or 5 games
Ooh.
out of 5. She was just a fucking all-star. Being able to move any size round 1 is just really good. But like long moving and getting it wild on your impact webbing and moving up to a size 5 is just ball breaking.
That is an interesting. So you had Gwen as an all-star, and David, you had Taskmaster as an all-star. That is not
Taskmaster
what
really
I
good.
would have guessed coming into this.
Deadpool is my all-star.
And Deadpool was your
I love
all-star.
Deadpool. The Pyro is an honorable mention, though, taking on Thanos and Gamora, or not Gamora, Nebula and Star-Lord for 3 turns. It's
Man.
pretty fucking awesome.
Taskmaster Spender, you know?
Who said the 3 threats were dead, man? Holy cow.
For being such a Hulk humper, I only took him 2 out of 5 games in that. Tournament.
Look at you.
2 out of 5.
Nice.
It's because you didn't get.
I'm talking to JP, right?
It's because you didn't get a very good
Hulk humper
optimal prices.
extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. 2 games. Took Ultron 2 games. And the rest were just like Steve and trying to play scenario-y. Sort of wide without 2 threats. So.
Okay, we had kind of talked about doing some tournament etiquette, but we're an hour 30 into the pod, so I think maybe let's put a pin in that and we could just take that as a topic for another time. Any other kind of closing thoughts or other things that you took away from squad goals that we haven't discussed that you think might be helpful to webheads listening?
It's cool to support another state's or city's events.
Do it as much as you can, if at all possible. It's a great way of building communities, and like I said earlier, building that modern. I'm sorry, I'm very tired.
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie. Thank you.
Well, and it sounded like there were some logistical challenges with the venue, but that's also, I mean, 66 people. It sounds like that was quite a production to pull off and putting it together.
I mean, considering nobody in, I'm assuming nobody in that group was an HVAC tech. It's just
Yeah, it's not on them.
and even if they were, they're from out of town. They didn't bring their gear. It is what it is. Like, it sucked. I'm not gonna lie. That was fucking miserable. But
I think the price support was really bad.
the prize support was pretty
Like
bad.
it was like what, 150 people per team.
$50 a head for 66 players.
$3,300 in total between all the teams.
I don't know exactly. I don't know. I can't see behind the Wizard of Oz's curtain. Like, I don't know
They could have
what the prize or what the price on everything was for the venue and yada yada yada. But the price support was a little lacking.
Yeah, because it was just literally just trophies. There was no.
Yeah, there was no product.
So there's a couple door prizes.
Oh yeah, because you got the
I got the what was it, Adepticon alternate art
Tactics cards.
Tactics cards.
Oh, okay.
Because you got the frog Thor
Yeah,
Odin's blessing.
yeah.
We still don't have a Thanos copter shield mobile, do we?
Yeah,
Womp womp.
that'll be cool.
We got to
That'll
work on
never
that.
happen until David wins a Decepticon.
We gotta work on
Put the
that.
gauntlet.
That might be an ultimate. That might be an ultimate raffle prize to give away something like that.
That'll be cool.
But
Oh,
going back to like
Yeah.
supporting other cities and
Yes.
states, we live in 2024 where there are a shitload of games and everybody's kind of spread across like an infinite amount of interests. So being able to support each other and our events is very significant. It can make or break events for
Well,
sure.
And particularly for a game like Crisis Protocol, which is relatively the new kid on the block compared to like Warhammer and some of the other stuff that's
Yeah.
out there. I mean, it's just this game's 5 years old now.
Coming up on 5, yeah.
So and it sort of feels like the game's getting a little bit of a foothold in general, but
I mean, like everything not named Magic the Gathering or Warhammer 40K is kind of niche. Like,
Agreed.
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's kind of hit or miss. So if you can support, do it. It helps. It keeps the game alive. It keeps metas existing.
It's interesting to see what other players are doing.
Yeah.
What list they're playing, what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
well, it just I mean, this is something. I mean, I know I've heard AMG talking about how they've got 10-year plans for the game, but that's not going to happen unless the game continues to
Yeah.
grow and to be successful. And events like this are a way that game grows. So it was good that you guys got to go, that you got to represent our group while we were out there.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I know when we went to Show Me last year, that was the first time I'd gone to any kind of a weekend tournament. It was a blast.
Yeah,
So I'm very much looking forward to the next opportunity to do it.
Yeah, Brandon out of Infamous runs a good tournament.
He does.
He's on top of it.
All right, any closing thoughts before we put a pin in this one, gentlemen?
I got nothing. Yeah.
Wow, I usually have to do that at least
I'm like
three.
trying to think. Did anybody bring any
Don't
random-
provoke David.
So I'd say I usually have to do that about 4 times before I can start it out.
Yeah. Can't think of anything. Any crazy rosters that we saw? I don't know.
David's mind is like a brushed motor. It has to wind down. It cannot stop instantly like a brushless.
I continually have to tell this man multiple times at local events and just any events we go to. David, did you put your score in? Because he's talking about his game 15 minutes after the game is just finished.
I try.
I love him to death. I love him to death.
I've
But
been
boy,
getting better about it.
getting a new round up after David just finished his game takes some time.
I still think having an official drinking game where I try to wrap things up and move on and we get sidetracked is the way to go, and no one will make it past an hour 10.
Here's a David joke. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The interrupting cow.
Move!
It's like, I know he's really good in Shield, but not gonna
Fable is really
God fucking damn it.
And on that note, thank you for joining us, Webheads. Please make sure to rate and review us on your podcast app of choice. It really does make a difference. We're talking about building community. Rating and reviewing us helps other people find our podcast and helps grow the community. So we would really appreciate it if you would do that. Please follow us on our social media pages at Witty Bantercast. Please email us at wittybantercast@gmail.com. We would love to see your rosters. We'd love to see what you guys are coming up with and how clever you are, and be able to make your roster better and have more fun with this game, which we really all are appreciative for. So, other than that, until next time, Webheads, be good.